Well, my brakes started squealing this morning, and I think it was the wear indicator that started squealing, so I wanted to get the brakes changed as soon as possible. So that's what I'm doing today. First thing, I gotta get the wheel off, but I gotta jack it up first. So broke out my manual, and you have to break the lugs, and there's a little panel here that I have to pop off right there with a screwdriver, and then set the jack, and that's the jack. I couldn't believe it. This is the this is what they give you to jack up the tire, so, or jack up the car. So I'm going to set it on this 2x4 so I don't scrape up the ground. Set that up and dismount the tire and get it up on the jack stand there, and I'll come back. Now it's kind of interesting that when you set it into the hole, I don't have it jacked up yet, but it's at an angle. You can see down at the bottom it's not setting flush. But I think as you jack it up, the car is going to tilt this way, so then it'll straighten up. But I don't know if I like that or not, but we'll give it a whirl. Well, there's really no good way to get under there, put this jack stand, so I'm just going to set it under the jacking, or as close to the jacking point as possible. So if it falls down, it'll wreck the little fender flare thing, but at least it won't hurt me. And I also put two 2x4s in the back tire so it wouldn't slip, so I added a little extra measure. But I'm having a hard time getting this wheel off. It says I'm supposed to put this little locking or alignment tool in here. It comes with a toolkit. Kind of cool, but I don't know. I've never done this before, so I come along for the ride. I couldn't get this tire off. I finally got it off by doing this. I just took a 2x4 and kind of beat it on the side like this all the way around to get it to come off. So I don't know if the corrosion is just got it seized up in there or what, but it shouldn't have been that hard. So I don't know if this my car or this model, but we'll find out. Yeah, it was pretty corroded down in there, and you can see the corrosion on the top there. Pretty bad. Brakes don't look too bad. There's still like a lot of meat on them, and see the brake pads there look pretty good, but there's a wear indicator. I have to find it. I think it might be on the inside, but I'll show you the wear indicator when I find it. Anyway, this is an alignment pin they tell you to put in there, and it's just an aluminum pin, really. It's part of the toolkit that comes with the car. Just put it in there. I guess it helps you line up the wheel when you get ready to install it. But anyway, onward and upward. Okay, this is a pretty standard brake design. There's two bolts that hold this on. The top one is right there, and the bottom one. Alright, I'm on the inside of the wheel well looking out. So here's the, let's see where my finger is. There's the bottom nut of the brake housing, and then let me see if I can touch the top nut up here. Nope. Anyway, it's right. Where is it? There it is. Can you see it? That's the top nut right there. Top nut, bottom nut. So what you got to do is, the way the brake lines are, you got to loosen the bottom nut and also the top nut, but take the bottom nut all the way out, and then this whole assembly flips up, and I'll show you that when I do that. Okay, we got a status update here. What happened was, the auto parts store I got the brakes from gave me the wrong set of brakes, and I went back, and even the right part number was the wrong brake, so I got to go to another auto parts store. You can see it's not bad. I don't think it's down to the rivets back yet, but I'm gonna have to go to another auto parts store. So a couple of things I learned. the bolts that hold the mounting bolts that hold the calipers on is an 18 millimeter. So if you have an E-430, it's an 18 millimeter socket. I happen to have a 17 millimeter and a 19 millimeter socket, but not an 18. So I got to buy one of those. An 11/16 socket works, but the problem is I have cheap sockets. So this is what happens to cheap sockets. They break right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it back together, but at least I know what to do. And what I'm going to do is I've got some high temperature grease here that I'm going to put inside the lug holes. Careful not to get too much around the outside, but I'm not going to be extremely careful because you can see the corrosion on there, so it probably wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of grease in there. I'm going to take the alignment pin out. So what's going to happen is when I put the bolts back in, they're not going to seize up in there, and you won't get that nasty creaking sound when you try to take the bolts out. And it's different in that it's not held in by lug nuts, but it's held in by the studs that are tapped into the rotor. Okay, I just want to show how hard it is to take this lug nut off, and I just wanted to say it's ridiculous how tight it is. I don't know who put these lug nuts on, but they don't have to be this this tight. It's actually not good for the tire because you're overstressing the bolts. So I'm 180 pounds, and I can measure whatever this length is, and I'm bouncing like crazy on this thing, and it's not coming. There, it finally broke. But they don't have to be that tight. So for all you wrench monkeys out there, it ain't funny when you over torque these nuts, these bolts. It's actually dangerous. So here we go. Okay, I got it up off the ground after I broke them loose, but they're still really, really tight, and they should not be like this. Once they broke free, they should freely spin. So whoever did this really hopefully didn't screw up. I hope they didn't screw up the hub. This is really, really ridiculous. Dang, this one's still tight. Alright, let me work on it some more. See that? That is why you want to put grease inside the you want to put grease inside the holes before you put these in there, because corrosion will get in there and they'll seize them up real good. So they look pretty good right here, but there's a lot of corrosion at the end, so I'm thinking that's why it was so hard to get out. Okay, I got all the lug nuts out, or the lug studs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, there's no studs in there. This is the alignment pin that goes in there, but you see the tire doesn't come out. So I'm going to have to do what I did yesterday and beat on it. So hold on. So you're supposed to be able to just grab the sides of the wheels and pull it right off, but you can see I'm yanking on the wheel and it ain't going. So what's happened is, just like with the studs that are corroded in there, what's happened is the wheel, back end of the wheel, has corroded onto the rotors. So what I did was I took this 2x4 and I'm gonna put it on the rim here as to not damage the rim, and just pound it with my sledgehammer. See if I can free it loose. Don't worry, got got a jack, a hydraulic jack instead of that BS factory jack. So it'll hold. There it goes. Alright, broke it loose. And now it should come out as advertised. Alright, let's take a look at the back end of this tire. Not too bad. You see there, it's pretty corroded. But I'll clean that up with a little sandpaper or emery cloth, and then I'll clean that up there. But yep, that's how you get that tire off. Well, it appears I don't need brakes after all. I checked the outside, and the outside pad is running about 0.210, and I'm allowed 3/30 seconds, which is about 0.93, so I'm good to go. The inside is actually thicker than the outside, so I'm not too worried about it. There's plenty of meat on the discs, so I'm not too worried about it. I don't know why the brakes were squealing, but for now... Oh, my saga with the brake pads. I had to finally call the dealership, because apparently I have special double piston brakes for the E-430. So I had to go to the dealership, and yeah, they're about 200 bucks. So I'm going to run these as long as I can. And while I was at the other auto parts store, I picked that up for 20 bucks. $20 hydraulic jack. And so I don't have to use that piece of junk single point jack that came with the car. Much safer. So if it were to spring a leak or something, it wouldn't set the disc on the ground, and I'd have time. Of course, I don't get under the car anyway, but I'd have time to get out of the way if I needed to. So that pretty much ends my saga of the brakes. But it wasn't a total loss. I learned how to get the tire off, and it's good to get the tires off and lube these stud holes, so if I ever were to have a flat on the side of the road, I won't have as hard of a time getting them out. And now I know how to use the jack, and I also know to carry a couple of blocks of 2x4s so I can chock my back wheel so it doesn't roll and fall over and crush me. So good things to know. I'll put a list of things that I learned from this evolution up on the screen for you. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and, since the episode I had with the front tires, I'm going to go ahead and pull the back tires off just to make sure they come off nice and clean, and make sure the back pads are doing well too. So thanks for watching and bearing with me. Catch you guys later.